one game away. Blow up. We're playing for something, man. We're playing for something. It's gotta mean something to you. It gotta mean something. Everything you got. Let's finish this.
Do it, fellas.
Let's go.
Let's do it, fellas.
Finish 2-3. 1, 2, 3. Finish.
You ready to make history? Come on now. Yeah. You know, there's these two words. And when I say them, people get goosebumps cause they know what happens next. So without further ado, free smoke. Look, scared cause I'm drowning in silence with bad thoughts. These days I don't have nothing to say, man, the bag talks. I put in headphones on my driver. Pull up to the spot and give a good dick and Godiva. I can't lie, I'm uninspired. No more pillow talking about nonsense. I only stick around to put some band-aids on my conscience. I don't know why I feel so bad, nigga. That's what we do, no foundation. We don't build no more, we just screw. Half a bottle of Henny, girl, I'm going with the wind. The same niggas say they happy for me, ain't want me to win. So I'm done on my friends. Don't need help popping Coronas and reminiscing. I just call up Big Bro J and say it's time for venting. If I live forever, I hold this hate for some centuries. You don't know how much or how you doing with admit to me.
When did winning not become the main thing? I always say keep the main thing, where, you know, winning is the only thing that truly matters.
I kept saying like, bro, so mad, bro. I ain't gonna be all right.
Welcome back to Kicking It with Saint. Hope everybody's having a dope day, dope afternoon, dope night, whichever point in time of the day you're listening to this. I appreciate you. You probably hear this motherfucking airplane in the background. Ignore that hoe. It shall pass. And if it is bothering you, well, it shouldn't because it's done passed now. I was about to tell you, it is above me. Quite literally, it is above me. I can do nothing about it. But I appreciate you for joining me, man. How's everybody doing out there? Could have been anywhere else in the world. You chose to stop by, kick it with me, and I appreciate you for that. We got a lot of things to talk about in the NFL world because the off season is here, so it's a lot of things to talk about. I was lazy last off season. I really wasn't lazy. I just had a lot of shit on my plate. I got a lot of shit on my plate right now, but it too shall pass, yo. I really do hope everybody's having a dope day out there, man. Let's love a little today, you know? Love a little more today. Tell somebody you fuck with them. Tell somebody you love them. I usually wait to the end of the show to say that, but I just felt like throwing that out there right now. All right? I appreciate y'all for joining me. We got some things to discuss. We got some things to talk about on the show today. We're going to talk about the Cincinnati Bengals. That will be the majority of what we talk about today. But we also will hit on a couple other things towards the end of the show. We got some other NFL news to talk about. First, however, I want to shout out Casanat or Sanat. I hope I'm not pronouncing his name wrong. Casanat and Lil Rodney's son. That nigga Lil Rodney's son is hilarious, yo. That nigga is hilarious. Baltimore's own Lil Rodney's son. Nigga is hilarious. So they did a Batman stream. Casanat just did a Batman marathon stream. I like what Casanat is doing. I like the positivity he put out there in the world. I like that he allowed to be himself and do it his way. He don't have to conform. He put black people on. He put other people. I just love Casanat and what he's doing. But Lil Rodney's son, this Batman and Robin marathon stream that Casanat, it's a Batman Arkham stream. He just did marathon. He did over the last, if you don't know what, over the last like 3 or 4 days, if you don't know what that is, it's like when streamers do like marathons where they sleep on the stream. They on the stream basically 3-4 days in a row. And this form of entertainment, you want to know why I think I wasn't a big fan of the stream thing at first? Because when I first caught on to streaming, as far as like watching people stream, all the biggest streamers were white. I mean, all the biggest streamers were white. All the streamers that had the endorsement deals, the ones that they were promoting, like all of them was white. And the ones who were black, weren't allowed to actually act like themselves. They had to conform and basically act white. So I wasn't a big streamer dude because I'm like, I can't relate to none of these niggas. Like the way they talk, the way they interact with their audience, the way they audience interact. I don't fuck with this. Like I wouldn't be around these niggas on a 24-hour. In a 24-hour day, I could not imagine that I would chill with these niggas for even 2 minutes out of the day if I had a choice. So I'm not saying that these is bad people. The young audience, it's not even necessarily like the little kids, bro. It's the middle schooler and high schooler audience that's very annoying to me. That age bracket, it's not all of them, but it's a lot of them, bro. And I talk about it all the time. But then it was a lot of them white kids, like I just couldn't relate that they was allowed to be racist, pseudo racist, say racist little jokes and shit. The streamers is white, so either they gonna laugh or unless you say something very racist, then they'll ban you. But even they get away with saying racist shit, like. And then I'm not saying they didn't grow up like me in a sense of, well, no, they didn't, because it's just simple as that. But I'm not saying I can't relate because they didn't struggle or something like that. I've never, like, I hate it when people be like, oh, I can't fuck with that person because they didn't struggle like me. I'm not one of them niggas who need everybody to struggle like me to fuck with them. No, I just simply couldn't relate to any of them in the sense of their type of comedy, their type of humor. It just wasn't for me. Then RDC comes along. Guys like Flight, guys like Casanat. These type of streamers now are ones that like black people can relate to more. They talk like me. They have the same experiences as me. They grew up and experienced things exactly the same way that I experienced them. So shout out to Casanat. And every time I shout out Casanat, I'm always followed up by shouting out. Well, shout out to Amp altogether also. But it was Casanat's marathon. But every time I shout them out, I'm always followed up by shouting out the team that I root for the hardest. RDC. I'm a big RDC fan. I rock with them boys heavy. Don't know none of them niggas personally. Rock with every single one of them heavy. Absolutely enjoy watching stream. One of my favorite things about watching them boys is watching Mark crash out on his chat. Because you see, I believe that Mark, I don't think that some white streamers do what Mark will do to his chat. They won't talk to their chats the way that he will. Like, he be letting them niggas know, like, bro, y'all niggas are hating for no reason whatsoever. And this is not gonna get you nowhere in life. I remember when Dez told one of the people in the chat, like, bro, you can't be this miserable in life to where this is what you doing. Like, you cannot hate niggas this much to where this is what you find enjoyable in life. Like, I love the way them niggas will talk to the chat, bro. Like, not letting the chat think. Like, I hate it when the chat will go at people and be like, you need to be humble and this and that. Like, bro, shut the fuck up. Like, who the fuck are you? Like, bro, every time broke niggas got a problem with somebody, it's because they broke, bro. It's not because, oh, they arrogant. No, it's because you're broke and you're jealous, bro. It's a disease at this point. But again, shout out to them. I just watched one of the shorts on, well, not, it's like a short film that RDC did. I don't know how I'm just now watching this shit, how I just saw it, but it was like a bank heist. It was like a quadruple, bro. It was so many turns of that shit. Boy, that shit was hard. Yeah, I gotta check that shit out. If I can remember the name of it, I'm gonna post it. I don't want to get in trouble for posting those shit. I'm gonna just like post the, I don't know if I'm even do that, but I do. I'm probably putting the, I'm probably gonna put it in the description section. The name of the video that you gotta check out. Y'all gotta check that shit out. I don't mind free promotion for RDC, bro. I fuck with RDC heavy. I just love what RDC and Casanat and them boys doing. But now that, shout out to Drewski too, bro. I can't watch that Could Have Been House I just couldn't do it. The Could Have Been Love is, I be trying to watch it. I don't watch both episodes. I done had to skim through damn near the entirety of both episodes to see parts, because I just do not enjoy watching that type of TV, bro. When I was younger, I didn't even enjoy it. Like, and this is what's so weird. I really enjoyed watching The Real World growing up, but I think that's because I was a freaky ass nigga. Like, I liked fucking. I still like fucking. And so me just thinking about living in a house with baddies, being able to fuck them at any point in time. Well, not like on no, weirdo type shit, but like if me and her fucking with each other, like that just was so appealing to me. And then moving on to another house where I'm competing for money, I was like, oh, this shit lit. As I got older, I can't tell you the last time I watched The Real World, because I'm just not interested in watching drama. I'm just not. I don't watch reality TV shows. I try to support, like me, I'm trying my best to support Drewski by trying to skim through it and watch it. But I could never sit through a whole show of that. I just don't find it entertaining watching women act like this. Especially ugly bitches, bro. Like, I'm sorry, but the women, the bitches on Drewski's, because women would be offended that I'm calling these hoes women. But see, now I'm just talking crazy. See, now I'm turning into the off the camera me. But it's just very hard for me to watch Could Have Been Love, bro. A lot of ugly bitches running around with their stomachs and shit out. Yo, Meatball, bruh. I just saw a picture of Meatball. It been sitting in a car, butt ass, like, no shirt on, bro. Tits out, and you think it was a fat dude. I was like, this is just outrageous, bro. This is outrageous. Women being niggas, I hate it. But that's the type of entertainment some people like. Like, that Erica Mena show is all over Twitter. I really don't know why I just gave that shit free promotion. I hate that shit. Well, I really don't like the Could Have Been Love, but I fuck with Drewski. But the Erica Mena shit, that's just not getting watched. The clips is all over Twitter. Niggas is fighting on that show every other day. It's another show on that same Zeus network where bitches is fighting, pulling each other from, like, I'm like, yo, this is crazy, bro. Like, bitches really find it, because that's really who is watching it. There's a lot of women, but there's niggas watching it too. I'm like, bro, this is crazy. I don't know how niggas find that entertaining. I really don't. But nonetheless, we're here to talk about some football. The Cincinnati Bengals, they just had the owners thing where GMs and I don't know what it's called. I should have probably looked that up. That's on me. Charge that to the game. That's why I'm where I am. And I'm not fit to do all that. But listen, they just did the thing where the GMs talk to the media and whatnot. They at the combine. They at the combine, so they're doing a lot of meetings and whatnot in Indy. And a couple of things came out of the combine or those meetings. I'll do the Baltimore Ravens ones. Well, I guess I'll hit on some of the Baltimore points at the end of the show. Because I know if you're a Baltimore fan and you know that I'm a Baltimore fan and you come to me for a lot of the Baltimore stuff, I probably won't have it this episode. I'm going to be honest with you. And I'm talking about the ops, so I know how that look. You know what? I'm going to have it at the end of the show. Don't even sweat. Don't even trip. But I want to talk about Cincinnati. Because I was looking at people talk about Cincinnati, and I've been watching the meetings I've been watching Adam Schefter. I saw the Cincinnati executive talk about it. Cincinnati is just a conundrum to me. Cincinnati just does not make sense to me. And I already spoke on my frustrations and my annoyance with that franchise tag. I don't like the franchise tag. I do wish that the players could find the next time they allowed to renegotiate the CBA or whatever it is to have that shit in it, they have to get the franchise tag out. I don't understand. And this was probably, I just don't know who the NFLPA is thinking about when they do some of these deals and stuff, because a franchise tag helps any player. Well, for one, it helps everybody, but it especially helps players who are top tier players who are looking to get paid there, especially when you want to get your first deal. So many great players, and it really be happening to receivers too and running backs. but they can't even get their first great deal when they should, because they either have to play out the entire contract or they get franchise tagged after the playing out the contract. So I don't know how this is not a thing that's been put in the CBA yet. Like, I don't know how they have not negotiated to get one of those tags at least out. Like, just think about this. It's two of them hoes in there. You get drafted to a team. You don't get to pick the team you go to. Them. If you are a great player in college, you're not choosing the team that you go to. You're getting drafted. You hope that you get drafted to a good organization that uses you properly and you can flourish, but sometimes that don't happen. So you get drafted to a team. That is not your choice. Then you play great for a team. That team does not pay you. You finally get the freedom to choose where you want to go, and they franchise tag you. So now you probably there for, that's the fourth. So now you're there for a fifth year. You like, okay, my fifth, sixth year, I'm a free agent. I'm about to leave. They tag you again. You done had 2 of your prime years supposedly taken away from you because you have been tagged. Because you don't have the motivation after that when you get tagged and you know they're not trying to pay you. Like, some people be like, oh, well, it don't matter. You still getting paid. My nigga. Not having financial security to go out there and know that if I get hurt, I'm going to be fine for the next 2, 4, 5, 6 years. That's a real thing. Like, I understand broke people live. We are living at a certain point where we don't have to, we don't have these type of, every day is not guaranteed if you broke. So I get why some of you niggas think to yourself, well, you get paid $24 million to play this year, so you fine. But that's just not how it works when you hit certain tax brackets and hit certain type of negotiations. Now I'm not negotiating to have this year. I'm negotiating for my future. That's important now. I'm not working at Wendy's or FedEx or Sears or some shit like that. I'm a professional athlete. I'm a professional entertainer. It's completely different. I understand some of you broke niggas don't understand that. But you're just going to have to work on that yourself. That's a you problem at this point. So I done talked about my disdain for that franchise tag. I hate the franchise tag. I do not like the franchise tag at all. I don't even like arguing that, well, you know, it makes sense that they would use it at this point, because I hate it so much. Because obviously it makes sense that they used it last year. But my whole problem with Cincinnati, see, as a matter of fact, this is why I keep saying that you should negotiate to get at least one of them taken away. Because I don't have a problem with the franchise tag in a sense. This is why. A great organization will use that franchise tag to get extra time. Meaning, if the Ravens could not have come to a negotiation with Lamar Jackson, they would have tagged him. Not because they didn't want to pay him. Not because they wanted to lose him and just use him as long as they could. But because they needed extra time to negotiate. They didn't want anybody else to be able to negotiate a contract with him. They wanted extra time to be able to come up with an offer that could keep him in Baltimore because they wanted him. Cincinnati is not tagging this nigga because they want him. They are simply tagging him because they know they don't want to pay him the contract he is going to get on the open market. But they also know, well, we need him and we can force him to stay for 2 years with this tag. Fuck the fact that it could be fucking up their books, fucking up their contracts and all other type of shit like that. They are, and you want to know what's so funny? I truly believe if Cincinnati didn't have Joe Burrow, if Joe Burrow never spoke out, they probably would have let T. Higgins walk by now. And I'm not blaming Joe Burrow because Joe Burrow is looking out for his guys. However, I do believe in this situation, Joe Burrow should just stop talking about this. And I'm not saying Joe Burrow talking about other people's money because he is actually saying these niggas should be getting paid. He didn't say nigga, but he is saying my guys should get paid. The problem is, Burrow, you saying they should get paid with the Bengals, and that's just not possible. It's not a contract. It's not a cut that you could take that would allow them to get paid what they're worth. Not all of them. That's why I believe they're going to lose 2 of them. I don't believe they're just going to lose T. Higgins. I think they're going to lose T. Higgins and Trey Hendrickson because what Cincinnati would have to pay, this is the problem, Cincinnati. They don't pay. The only person they paid early was Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow had a season-ending injury early in his career. He had another one late after the contract was paid. I'm not telling you it was bad that they paid Joe Burrow, but I'm telling you the different things that could have prevented them from paying him or could have had them caused, like, you could have made an argument, well, we'll wait to pay Joe Burrow because he has shown that he can be hurt early in his career. Even though he got to that Super Bowl, we didn't win it. We had a great team around him. You could have said all of those things. Instead of that, they paid him early. They didn't pay T. Higgins early. He done put proof. See, the T. Higgins thing is interesting to me because T. Higgins was drafted in 2020 for the Bengals, right? And this is, for one, it's a big stat on here that lets me know T. Higgins wants to leave or he is going to leave. And I'll get to that in a second. But when you drafted T. Higgins, you already had Tyler Boyd. I'm pretty sure, no, I don't think they still had A.J. Green at that moment. But you had Tyler Boyd, who was a great receiver at the time. Then you eventually draft, I think a year or two after that, you draft Jamar Chase. T. Higgins has never played on a Cincinnati team where he could be the number one option by himself. He came in on the back end of Tyler Boyd still being the number one. And then, as great as T. Higgins is, Jamar Chase, once again, played with Joe Burrow in college. That is a rare circumstance. But you look at what T. Higgins has done since he's gotten there. In 2020, he had 908 yards. In 2021, he had 1,000 yards, 1,091 yards. In 2022, 1,029 yards. 2023 is when he got hurt, so he ended that season with 656. In 2024, he was off and on because he was hurt off and on the field. Plus, I don't blame him for that. They didn't pay him. And the nigga still had 911 yards. That's crazy to me. So he is basically an 1,000-yard receiver. Only 1 year, which in 2023 was the year he was really banged up, did he not get close to what he usually is going to touch. For one, those stats right there tell me that if he was the number one receiver on the team, he well over 1,000 yards every season. Because these is yards he put up with Jamar Chase, Tyler Boyd on the same team as him. And Joe Mixon and Mike Gesicki. Them other tight ends don't really matter. No offense. Unless I just read this stat wrong, which I'm pretty sure I didn't. The nigga averaged 13.9 yards per reception for his career. Every year of his career, if you go to StatMoose, he was in double digits for average per catch. Now, that is a crazy stat, but that also tells me he is the second receiver. Because if you got a number one receiver averaging that many yards a catch, what are we doing as a defense ever? Plus, Jamar Chase and T. Higgins stats is probably heavily boosted because they play the Ravens twice a year. But that's not on them. Play better, Ravens. They do win those games, though, so. Nonetheless, the touchdowns. In 2020, 6 touchdowns. In 2021, 6 touchdowns. In 2022, 7 touchdowns. In 2023, which was the year he was hurt, he still had 5 touchdowns. In 2024, the year he was off and on because he was hurt, 10 touchdowns. So he had a career high in touchdowns in the last year. And the nigga that only fumbled the ball 3 times in his career. He lost all 3 of them, but he's only fumbled it 3 times in 5 years. The stat that is very alarming to me, though, which is crazy that he put up these type of numbers with this stat. The nigga only get 4.7 receptions a game. That's his stat. That's what his stat done totaled out to, basically. At no point in time has he's ever gotten basically to put this type of production on the field with how little he was targeted a lot last year. I believe last year was his most targeted year with Joe Burrow. However, when you look at T. Higgins' production with basically the limited amount of targets that he get and the fact that he played with other great receivers, T. Higgins is going to get paid. And I actually think whoever get him is going to actually get a bargain because you probably not. I rethink that. See, to me, it's not crazy to believe that T could get paid Justin Jefferson money simply because I watch football. So I know how good T. Higgins really is and I know what he can do. So I know if you put him on a Patriots, T. Higgins is going to be an 1,000-yard receiver. He's going to be a game changer for an offense. But some people might not see it that way. Well, I don't know, man, because these is not bad stats. These are great stats for a number 2 receiver who is really a number 1 having to play a number 2 receiver. There's a lot of number 2s who ain't getting nowhere near 1,000+ yards a season and giving you this many touchdowns. And he ain't even in his prime yet. T. Higgins' stats are going to get better. I don't know, man. See, to me, you didn't pay T early. You didn't pay Jamar early. You signed Trey Hendrickson when he left the Saints, and I'm gonna get to him in a second because I just don't understand what Cincinnati's game. You allowed DJ Reader to leave last year. You allowed Jesse Bates to leave a couple years back. All of your best defensive players you allowed to walk. You holding on to T. Higgins and some of these dudes on their offense for dear life, but you could have had them for cheaper deals. Like T. Higgins, what T. Higgins is going to get paid in the offseason, if you had to pay him last year or the year before that, really the year before that, you probably would have got a bargain for T. Higgins. And then you pay Jamar Chase and you worry about how you restructure those contracts down the line. But it was there was a reality where you could have gotten T. Higgins and Jamar Chase locked up. You want to know how I know? Because the Eagles locked up A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. Now, Devontae Smith to me is not better than T. Higgins. But Devontae Smith is as close to a number 1 as most number 2s. Like, a number 2 that you know is not a number 1. Because Devontae Smith is not a number 1 because of his size. T. Higgins is not lacking in any area to be a number 1. So I think he's getting paid more than Devontae now. But you probably could have got him for the same deal, if not cheaper than what Devontae was paid by the Eagles. But you waited. You made these niggas play their deals out. I don't understand that. You could have paid Jamar Chase last year. And now you're going to have to pay him more. I saw that the executive said we finna pay Jamar Chase will be the highest paid non-quarterback in the history of football. Well, you have to now because last year he wouldn't have had to be that. You could have gave him the Justin Jefferson contract and kept him moving. Now you got to pay him way more than Justin Jefferson because he just won a triple crown. This is what I'm saying. When organizations make stupid ass decisions or do stupid shit for no reason, you wouldn't pay none of these niggas last year. You did not prioritize paying any of your players that you needed to pay early when you needed to pay them, except for Joe Burrow. This is my problem when I talked about the Chargers. The Chargers were not losing because they were not a good coach team or they didn't have talent. They were losing because the philosophy. They thought to themselves, it's not okay to win. We can only win if Justin Herbert looks great. So we need that nigga to throw for 300+ yards, throw 2+ touchdowns, and look good doing it, or we don't care about a win. To them, it wasn't a win if Justin didn't look good doing it. And that's why they came up short. Now you bring in a head coach in Harbaugh who don't give a fuck if Justin Herbert throw for 500 yards a game or 200 yards a game. He could care less if Justin Herbert goes 10 weeks without a touchdown as long as they winning games. In Cincinnati, I do not believe that they have built a culture that is sustainable or a culture at all that's built. And Joe Burrow trying his damnedest. And the reason that it's so hard to build the culture that you are looking for in Cincinnati is because of the owner, the GMs, and the fact that when it's time to pay a player, when you draft a player and they produce for you, they hold up their end of the bargain. Why not pay him? What did Jamar Chase need to show you this year that he hadn't already shown you in his first couple years in the NFL? What did T. Higgins need to show you this year or last year that he hadn't already shown you? And if you knew you weren't going to pay him, why not trade him at his highest value? Because nobody is going to give you, unless a team is trading T. Higgins because they know they are going to re-sign him and they done had a discussion with him. You're not getting T. Higgins for the highest value you could have got him for it last year or the year before that when you knew you weren't going to pay him. You couldn't have got it. You as an organization, You fucked yourself backwards twice. You don't pay a guy that you drafted that produced for you and is one of the best receivers in the league, but you also don't trade him for value to help your team in the back end. So we're going to lose this dude, but we're going to bring in talent that help. I don't understand this when it comes to Cincinnati. So you didn't pay T early. You don't pay Jamar early. Jamar Chase is really about to fuck you. He really about to fuck you. And this is why. While I always say I don't blame a player if they decide to sit out when they don't get paid, I also feel like if you really want to fuck them, sitting out ain't what's going to do it. What Jamar Chase just did is, if you got a player that rock with you, bro, Joe Burrow know that Jamar Chase and T. Higgins should have been paid. He done said it multiple times. He just said it should be paid. They didn't pay either of the two early. You want to know what's another problem that came along with this? Because not only did T. Higgins didn't hurt his value this year, Jamar Chase only helped his value this year. Mike Gesicki just had a great year for Cincinnati. And to me, Gesicki is a little bit different because this ain't just a one-off type of season. Gesicki has been a Pro Bowl tight end. Gesicki just got caught in an ugly little situation in those 2 years where he was in transition. But Joe Burrow want to bring Gesicki back because very clearly Gesicki is the best tight end they done had since Joe Burrow done been there because Gesicki is a legitimate receiving tight end. But now you might lose him because he going to get paid or he want to get paid. I do not believe that Joe Burrow will allow you to let Jamar Chase walk. If Jamar Chase is not on this team, all hell is, I truly believe that's when Joe Burrow will request a trade. I do not believe, there is not a reality where Joe Burrow allows you to let Trey Hendrickson walk, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and all the talent he done seen leave out this building since he done been there. And he says to himself, that's fine, I'll still stay. It's no shot. He is going to, if Deshaun Watson can force a trade, Joe Burrow will be out of Cincinnati if that happens. I just think Jamar Chase not being in this building would be the last straw for him. Like, there's no reality where I believe Joe Burrow will allow Jamar Chase to leave this building and be okay with it. But I also don't see a reality where anybody but Jamar Chase is still on this team. I think they drafted receivers who they saw play decent last year, decent enough to where they are not going to care about paying. See, that's my problem. I don't think they're going to pay T. Higgins. They came out and said they're working on a contract, and then T. Higgins tweeted a cap emoji. Yeah, I thought that was cap from the beginning. I'm not stupid. Like, anybody who with a brain will know Cincinnati is tagging this nigga because for the only two reasons you tag him now, because you know bro, if you could have paid T. Higgins, you would have either paid him last year or paid him before you had to tag him this year. You only tagged him for two reasons. Because now you're trying to recoup some trade value for him before you lose him for nothing. Or because you know we aren't going to pay him, but we can have him for one more year and he's a great player. Them the only two reasons you would have him tagged now. Because we know you're not going to re-sign him. We know you're not going to give him his market value because he going to make 30 plus million a year. Jamar Chase going to make, 36 plus a year. Probably 40. Trey Hendrickson is going to make in that 20 in that 30 round range a year. You're not paying all them niggas that type of bread. You could have got a discount on that earlier. Now, this is the interesting thing about Trey Hendrickson, because I just want to keep telling you, just emphasizing how bad of an organization, or how bad Cincinnati has played their cards. And they were dealt such a beautiful deck. And look, and then they drafted something. See, that's my biggest problem. Most of the niggas we talking about right now were drafted by Cincinnati. They were not traded for. They weren't signed. They were drafted. They are letting their own niggas walk. Niggas that they developed. And I understand somebody might say, well, Saint, a lot of teams let their players walk. Not players at this level. It's very real that you can't keep everybody. That is very real. You cannot keep everybody. But great organizations, the good ones, prioritize certain players. I keep saying, as much as I like the Ravens, one of the problems that they are having right now, one of the reasons they can't fill those X positions is because they continue to spend money on players that they don't need, players that do not help them win, players who do not provide a consistent enough or a big enough impact on winning. It was no reason for you to sign Marcus Williams. It was no reason for you to sign, what's this nigga's name? Trade for, Devontae Johnson. It was just so many. It's you have money tied up in players that are not helping you win significantly. That is a problem. Whereas Cincinnati, they don't have money tied up in players. They just won't put the money in the players. Like, I don't get it. You let DJ Reader leave last year. You bring in Sheldon Rankins. That went terrible for you. Like, DJ Reader wasn't about to be one of the highest paid defensive tackles on the market. But because of how they keep putting themselves in this position where they won't play players on time or play them early, but now all of the bill is coming due at the same time. And as a broke nigga, and a procrastinating ass nigga, I absolutely know what it feels like when the bills become due at the same time. It's so, because of that, talent is just leaving out of the building in Cincinnati. And you can't afford for talent. The one thing that I love about Joe Burrow, that I loved about him, what I saw in the offseason, I always talk about this. The urgency to want to win in the AFC. I talk about it all the time with Lamar Jackson. When you see how Lamar done changed over these last couple of years, how he consistently get better, you can see the improvements. You can see him become a better leader. It's a sense of urgency, bro. I'm in the AFC. I don't have my whole career to try to win a Super Bowl against these demons. You can see that same type of urgency from Joe Burrow in the offseason when he talk about, bro, we need these players. We need to re-sign them. Nigga brought up the TV deals and all of that. That's a nigga who understand the urgency and understand. I don't play in the NFC. I play against Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, CJ Stroud, Josh Allen. I play against niggas like that. I don't get to go into the playoffs and get to go up against niggas like Brock Purdy or Dak Prescott or Sam Darnold or Baker Mayfield. I don't get that option. I got to play against real demons. So I need real talent. And if I can have real talent, that's not just, oh, we can't afford them because you're no, my nigga, do your job properly and we'll have talent like we're supposed to. So I feel for Joe. I really do. Because now you look at Trey Hendrickson's side of this. And Trey Hendrickson absolutely deserves to be one of the highest paid pass rushers in the league. When Trey Hendrickson was signed out of New Orleans, he had a total of 20 sacks in 4 seasons. That should let you know he came at a bargain. Cincinnati never gave him a crazy contract because it wasn't a crazy productive player at the time. Since joining Cincinnati in 2021, Trey Hendrickson has doubled his sacks. The production that he had in New Orleans. He has 57 sacks. I didn't even look up his strips and like his forced fumbles. 57 sacks. I saw a stat last year in 1 score games. Trey Hendrickson had 12.5 sacks. This is a game record. It is a reason that every time I talk about the game records in the NFL, I always bring up Trey Hendrickson. As a matter of fact, he one of the first niggas I bring up because I bring up all 3 of the ones that live in the AFC North. TJ Watt, Trey Hendrickson, Myles Garrett. Game records. Something that the Ravens don't have. Trey Hendricks cannot be left one-on-one with a guy. It's hard to double team him at times because he is so good. He has led the league in sacks the last 2 years with 17.5 sacks both of his last 2 years. Since coming to Cincinnati. In 2021, when you signed him, he gave you 14 sacks. You might have thought, oh, that might be an anomaly. But next year, he gave you 8. And then after that, he gave you 17.5. This is a player who has clearly entered his prime. You're not getting him at a discount. It's just not going to happen. And a hometown discount definitely don't exist because you didn't draft Trey Hendrickson. And Trey Hendrickson is not looking at this situation saying to himself, well, Cincinnati got me to where I want to be. I just love Joe Burrow. My nigga, my hard work and dedication to the game and my craft got me to where I want to be right now. I should be talked about and he right. He want to be talked about in the same sentences as Myles Garrett and the TJ Watts. And I agree, because his production over the last 4 years has said that he should be in those conversations. And now that I'm looking at his production over the last year, about 4 years on paper, kind of crazy that he hasn't won a Defensive Player of the Year. I know who he going up against, demons. 2 of these years he done lost it to TJ and Myles. He probably should have won that hoe this year or last year. I'm not going to lie to you. But Trey Hendrickson comes in, gives you this type of production. He only had 20 sacks in New Orleans. He gave you 57. And I believe he got 6 sacks in the playoffs with you. And you don't pay him early. You should have known we was going to have to rip this contract up and give him a new deal. But you waited to do it. And so now he have another great season. Just so happens he have the best pass rusher number season as far as sacks. He's going to be paid. As a matter of fact, the funny thing about it is, because if you tag T, Trey's leaving. That's a target Baltimore would look at, because they needed Trey Hendrickson on that team. Could you imagine Trey Hendrickson wanting to play against Cincinnati twice a year now? Could you imagine how that's going to motivate him? Could you imagine what Trey Hendrickson would look like now that he would play on the defense with that type of talent on it? I just don't think Cincinnati has handled this thing well at all. I think it's like I say it all the time. I think what we have seen in Cincinnati over the last couple of years has been franchise malpractice, but niggas has covered it up because they love Joe Burrow. We just love Joe Burrow so much. So niggas don't bring up the fact that Zach Taylor is not a good coach. I've been saying that since I started the show, that Zach Taylor's not a good head coach. It ain't me hating. It's me looking at an offense that don't look like they have an actual game plan. They just rely on the talent. But I kept saying, at some point in time, you're not going to have T. Higgins and Jamar Chase outside the numbers for you. Now, little did I know they would actually find a tight end in Gesicki. But now you're probably going to lose Gesicki, Hendrickson. And what's crazy is you could actually, if you lose T. Higgins, you should be able to re-sign Gesicki. Gesicki is not about to become one of the highest paid tight ends in football. Now, I'm not foolish enough to not believe that he could go out there and find a deal that could potentially get him close to it. But Cincinnati has fucked themselves, because if you pay Gesicki, a Cincinnati fan is going to say, well, we needed Trey Hendrickson. If you pay Trey Hendrickson, somebody's going to be like, well, we needed Gesicki and T. Higgins. You want to lose, because what some fans might not realize is you're also about to have to restructure a Joe Burrow's deal in probably a year or two. And you're about to have to pay Jamar Chase. None of those players that I just named are players that are going to be players that don't get good contracts in the open market. Every single one of those players I just named would get paid top dollar in the open market. And that's not even including the other free agents that you could lose. Joseph Asai, Akeem Davis-Gathers, Mike Gesicki, like I said, Von Bell, B.J. Hill, Mike Hilton. Like, it's a lot of players in Cincinnati. They got 19 free agents, basically, I believe it was. Either 17 to 19 free agents on this team. Trey Hendrickson's not even a free agent. He just won his new deal. So you're probably going to end up trading him. Or, knowing Cincinnati, they'll hold on to him as long as they pay. I'm not sure if Trey Hendrickson is actually a free agent this year or next year. I got to look that up. Nonetheless, I don't think Trey Hendrickson will be a Cincinnati Bengal for too much longer if they don't give him. Because the thing is, he's not taking a hometown discount. This would have been Trey Hendrickson's first big contract. Like the one he signed to come to Cincinnati is nothing compared to what he is going to get if he were on the open market right now. This is what's funny. Cincinnati got 2 of the top 5 free agents if they hit the market right now. If Trey Hendrickson and T. Higgins hit the market right now, I am almost certain they would walk away with the 2 biggest deals in free agency. It just is what it is. And you could have avoided this by being a better run franchise. It's unreal. Yeah, I used to hear people say competition forced niggas to get better. Clearly that is not the case in Cincinnati. Competition did not force Cincinnati to stay competent or get better. They experienced greatness with Joe Burrow and all that talent. And it clearly did nothing to make them say to themselves, okay, we got to remanage things and make sure we are absolutely perfect because we see that we can be great now. Let's have this feeling for the next 10, 15 years. Not the case. It's unbelievable. And this is the difference between great franchises. See, great franchises can go through lows and whatnot, but when they find that player, that means they can drop him in that situation, and we back on track now because we manage our franchise in a way that if we lose a Lamar Jackson or we lose a Joe Flacco, the guy who helped the franchise run, and a Ray Lewis and a Eric, well, now all we need to do is drop Lamar Jackson in and boom, we back running because we're a competent franchise. If we the Chiefs, we're a competent franchise. So if we get rid of Alex Smith, drop Pat Mahomes in, we don't fall off. It ain't just because those dudes talented. It's because we're a competent franchise also. So to me, look at the Eagles. I just think Cincinnati they really fucking up they already done fucked it up. They're not fucking up. They already fucked up what was a great core of weapons, yo. It's crazy. Shout out to T. Higgins and Trey Hendrickson, though. Y'all boys definitely deserve to be paid. I did not know y'all stats were this good. Like, I knew both of y'all were great because I don't really care for stats. I know what I'm looking at when I'm looking at it. And so I knew both of you two were studs. Boy, looking at especially Trey Hendrickson. 17 and a half, 14-8, bro. That's crazy. Nigga had 20 sacks in New Orleans in 4 seasons. He got 57 in 4 seasons in Cincinnati. He had Cam Jordan in New Orleans, bro. And then T. Higgins, looking at these stats and just understanding that, boy, these things could be crazy if he was actually on his own team being the number one. It's insane. But let's talk about some other things going on in football. Now that I've covered Cincinnati. Deebo Samuels has been granted his trade request, meaning the 49ers will seek a trade for Deebo. The GM talked about yesterday. Another player was Jonathan Allen, the defensive tackle for the Washington Commanders, has been granted his trade request, so they'll allow him to seek a trade. It was another player who was granted it too. Harold Landry of the Tennessee Titans. He was also granted his trade request. So they'll allow him to seek a trade request. And more players who are like great players at the back ends of their careers or just they got a lot left in the tank and want to go play for a winning team will probably start being granted their trade requests. But Matthew Stafford, his name been thrown around a lot. Thrown around like a prostitute. Matthew Stafford has met with Tom Brady, or the report said him and Tom Brady met about the possibility of joining the Las Vegas Raiders, and also the Los Angeles Rams have given Matthew Stafford permission to also seek a trade. So I'm very interested to see what way the Rams are going in a way of and see this is my problem. Could you imagine if the Rams was one of the teams that forced the Ravens to pay Lamar what he wanted or forced a trade to the Rams? Could you imagine where that franchise would be right now if they had got Lamar Jackson with all the talent they got on defense and right now? Because the Rams have drafted great. It ain't just been high draft picks because the Rams haven't been trashed to where they just get great draft picks. The Rams done drafted great. Made a lot of great moves. Could you imagine if those moves came along with having Lamar Jackson at quarterback and not now having to move off of Stafford? Just interesting thought, but I'm interested to see what Matthew Stafford ended up. Going to the AFC wouldn't make any sense to me if I'm Matthew Stafford. Like, why would I want to go play in the same conference as Mahomes, Allen, Lamar, Burrow, Stroud? Like, I don't want to play in that conference, bro. And then the dudes who ain't those dudes are still good. The Herberts. Like, I don't want to play, you know what I'm saying? I don't want to play in the AFC. If I'm Stafford, I'm trying to stay in the NFC. I don't even know why the Rams will be trying to get off of Stafford right now. Maybe it's the contract. It's probably the contract. Other news. Oh, they came out with the NFLPA came out with the grades and shit. And the grades didn't matter. The only owner who got an F was the Jets. Woody Harris or Woody Johnson. The Bucks, the Steelers, the Patriots, the Cardinals. Who the fuck is it? And the Panthers all got D's. The Chiefs, this was what shocked me. The two that shocked me was the Chiefs got a C, which actually did not shock me that much, but it shocked me because you think the way NFL players clearly don't think this is the highest. Like, and it makes sense because the Chiefs have only paid like 2 players, Mahomes, Jones. Players probably feel like when we good with KC, they probably gonna trade us or something like that, or maybe I don't know. But they got a C. That was kind of shocking. The Bengals getting a C shocked me because I thought they would have gotten an F. So I guess you never really know a person. The working condition grades, the only ones that matter. 27 to 32, which is the bottom ones. Pittsburgh, the Jets, Cleveland, New England, Arizona. Arizona one kind of shocks me because it's Arizona. Like, what the hell? I never heard bad things about Arizona, but I guess it's just this organization that's terrible as far as the working conditions. New England does not shock me. They probably still slaving niggas around over there like they going to Super Bowls every year. Like Brady's not walking through that door to suit up for you. The Jets don't shock me. Clearly they're a terrible organization. And Pittsburgh actually does shock me. The working conditions in Pittsburgh, I don't know if that's the weather. Maybe they got outdated facilities or something. I don't know. That was interesting to me. Jason Peters, offensive lineman, after I believe it is 19 seasons, he retires from the NFL. Zach Martin also retires from the NFL. So I believe that both of those, I know Zach Martin headed to the Hall of Fame, but I believe Jason Peters, the legendary Eagles guard, lineman, offensive lineman, is headed to the Hall of Fame one day also. Sheldon Rankins also, when I was talking about DJ Reader earlier, Sheldon Rankins, yeah, he got released by Cincinnati also. So Shaq Thomas, the long-time Carolina Panther, was also released by the Carolina Panthers. But that was all the other news around the NFL. Can't wait to join you next time on another episode of Kicking Up with Saint. I appreciate you for joining me, man. Tell somebody you fuck with them. Tell somebody you love them. You could be anything in this world, so choose to be kind to somebody today. We never know what each other is going through, so let's be a little nicer to each other, you know. I fuck with you. I love you. Like, subscribe, share, tell a friend to tell a friend. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Saint out.
That's exactly how I feel. I feel like I just got spat on. I feel like they just pulled out the whole goddamn cup on me. Man, I'm stressed out. P&B, every day we live. Hey, every day, Uso is stressing the
I got the moves like hot sauce. Lil' mama taking the top off. I'm laying down getting topped off. After this, she know she getting knocked off. I know she loving the money, so I keep on thumbing and thumbing. She say she horny when she taking shots, so I keep them coming and coming. Now I'm putting dick in her tummy, scoop her up like I'm raking or something. You would think shawty red track, the way that she running and running. You getting dumber and dumber, you out here chasing the bone. After she finished from giving me dome, the Uber is taking her home. Tight.